Welcome back to Eagle Spire Gaming. I'm your host, Crown, and today is January 24th. And this is Great Penance Episode 9, where I've got the Mechanicum Battle Automata that we're going to be looking at. And if you're new to the channel, you don't know what Great Penance is, I have taken a penance crusade. I've taken a vow, an oath, that all of these models, all of this, my gray pile of shame, they're unbuilt, they're unpainted, some of them are unbuilt, some of them are unopened, they're still in the boxes, and I've got to knock them out. I've got to get back to them before I can buy anything else and start working on new things. So I won't be buying anything new. My birthday's coming up, so maybe there's still a little bit new. I actually already probably got all my birthday stuff, right? Crayola got me two more boxes of the Mechanicum Battle Group. So there's a little bit more coming. But I've got to get rid of that, and that's what the Great Penance is. It's a chance for me to talk about what's going on with the channel, and then we're going to talk about the models, how I felt making them, putting them together, you know, any thoughts, opinions I have on it as we go through that, and then a little bit of the tactics. Not in-depth tactics, you know, just a little bit of thoughts and usage, how you can put them into your army. And you can put these guys into any army. It doesn't matter what faction you have. Go buy a box of these guys. You can put them in there. Maybe you'll want a second box just so you can have some slightly different sizes, because right now you're kind of stuck with very minimum sized units with these guys. But yeah, if you're new here and you haven't already, subscribe to the video. We do battle reports. We do this. If you like this, give it a thumbs up. But you know, you want to stay up to date. You want to see what all we do. You know, subscribe so you can stay informed. So let's talk news real quick. I'm a little behind on posting this. It's you know, it's late in the day now, and it's late in the week. I didn't do anything. I was on vacation. Took the kids out, anniversary, that kind of stuff. And when we got back, there was a snowstorm. So, you know, we've been playing out in the snow, having fun. Where I grew up, snowed all the time. Not all the time. It snowed a couple times a year. And I get to play it every year, you know, pretty much. You know, Stencil, we don't get snow here, so he's stuck. This is like his first time playing in it since he was 4 or 5 when we moved away from it. 4, I think, when we moved away from the northern part of the States. But we're playing with it, so as I got to finish this video so that I can go and we're going to build a snow fort and have a little snowball fight. But on the way back from said vacation, somebody was looking for photos of the support formations, which these guys make. These guys are vital for, I would say. And he was looking for that so he could put up with his blog. And so I gave him a couple of photos. I was thinking I'd use them here, but I thought, nah, you guys, if you want to see those photos, go to, it's going to be Foundations for Field Marshals. You've probably heard of it. It's done by Maximal Fire. They started off with Titanicus, but they make stuff for Legions Imperialis. Cool little tactic, you know, blog. I think it's called a blog. Cool Tactica stuff. I've read some of it. I might have read all of it. I'm not sure. And yeah, it's good stuff to have. Good stuff to know. He talks about like deployments and setting up your formations and things like that. And there's some other stuff too that I haven't really quite gotten into. I haven't read enough to retain, right? So I'll link that in. I don't know when he's going to post it. He probably spends a bit more time on it than I spend on this. So I think he was still putting his stuff together. But that would be cool. You can go check it out, and you know, hopefully my photos are in there. Hopefully he uses them. That'd be nice. So what we're looking at here, let's take a look at these models. The Battle Automata group, and I built this out of the battle group, but you can get these boxes individually. It's kind of like the support formation for the other factions, right? And I say that because any other kit, right? So you got your all the factions have an infantry kit, right? And what's in the infantry kit? A couple of leaders, a pair of leaders, right? A bunch of infantry models, you know, a bunch of your core detachments, a bunch of, support guys that are a bit stronger in close combat or a bit stronger in shooting, and maybe some walkers, right? And that's true of, I think, all of them except, I don't think the Mechanicum one doesn't actually have walkers in it, but it does have, the HQ has an option to be on a little vehicle, and that's kind of like a walker, right? And then you got your support box, and that has a bunch of different stuff in it that kind of isn't infantry, but kind of ends up, the rules wise, it is infantry, and some other stuff, a bunch of different detachments, right? Different models. And anything else is tanks or jets or air or transports or artillery, right? And it's just one thing, and you get a bunch of it, right? Whereas the Battle Automata, it is a bunch of different things, and it kind of fits in more with support formation, right? So you get 4 Castellex, and you get 2 of everything else, and the Vorax here, the Castellex and the Vorax, all of them are 3 to a base, and I ended up I kept them that way. They're on larger bases. I kept them that way. I like the chunky feel of it. I like that they feel like there's a lot of them there, You could probably space them out and do 2 to a base and get a couple more bases out of it and, and save some money doing it that way. I like the weight and the heft of having it like this. I heard some people do, for Space Marines, they do 4 Jump Pack Marines, 4 Assault Marines to a base, and 3 Terminators to a base, and they stretch things out that way. And great way to save money, by all means. I don't like the look of it. I've heard people say, I've seen people say that they feel it's a crowded base. I like the crowding. That's just how I am, I guess. Please don't hate me for that. It's a character flaw. I understand that. I'm not going to do anything to fix it. I'm just going to make the models, right? I don't know. I like the way they come together like this. I haven't done my Space Marines yet, so, I haven't even gotten that far. But there was a moment where I was looking at a bunch of Ogryn, and I was thinking, oh, if I just I've got extra bases. If I just put 1 Ogre into a base, I'll have so many more Ogryn bases. And I just didn't want that. I realized I like the way they look with more people on the base. So there's a couple of things right out the gate. There's a couple of flaws here with this box. There are 3 things that you have one model of per sprue. And you get 2 of them in the box. 2 of them in the box means 1 model, and 2 sprues means 1 model per sprue. 1 model per sprue means they are the exact same model. They're identical twins to each other. And that is going to be your Voltrix, your Arlatax, and your Domitiers. I'm never going to say those names again because I'm going to say them differently if I tried to say them again. So we got the stabby robots, we got the missile launcher robots, and we got the Voltrix. I'll keep saying Voltrix. Until I watch the next time I try to say it, it's not going to come out right. So, and it's a very distinct pose for them, right? Because the Domitier they've got their right hand up and they're shooting these missiles, right? The Arlatax are rushing forward. Their left claw is closed and their right claw is open, and they're sprinting forward. Very dynamic poses. They stick out that they're doing the exact same thing. And this could have been solved if they had said, hey, let's take these Voltrix out. There's a lot of space. They took up a lot of space on the sprues. They're very large. Each half of that body is on the body is 2 halves, right? And there's another piece that's actually inside that, underneath that you're using. So if they'd taken that off, they would have had enough room to put another Arlatax and another Domitier on the sprue, and that one could be looking, have a different pose. You could have a different body, a slightly different angle or something, where now I can use this arm here on that one, and I can make a couple of different things with it, right? And and then you just put the Voltrex in a separate box. You know, hey, here's a box of 8 Voltrex, right? That'd be cool. That'd be interesting. That would have been a great way to make it so that we have some dynamic poses to this. As far as playing the game from 3 feet away, maybe you're not going to notice. As far as putting them together and painting them and putting them on a shelf and staring at them in awe and glory of their beauty, you're going to notice. So that's my complaint with that. There is one thing that kind of makes it a little bit better, but is also kind of a flaw in a way. There's a lot of tiny connection points that kind of make it so that you can easily change the exact, like, where exactly is this arm going to be positioned. But it's not that great of a thing, because I accidentally have one of my Arlatax leaning forward more. And it makes him look different than his brother, but it means that all of that front that I painted on him, all of that, you know, all of the stuff to him is now leaned forward, aimed at the ground, and you can't see it. So I don't like that necessarily, but it is a way to change it. The Castellex are, like, you know, different bodies, you got different, well, the bodies kind of look exactly the same, right? But you got different arms. There's a bunch of different arms. They're kind of all doing the same thing anyway. And then there's different legs that are slightly different posed. They're also kind of all doing the same thing. Very few of them are actually, like, taking a step forward, or, you know, there's not a lot of movement to them. They're kind of all like, hey, I'm here, look at me. Like, I am here. It's like they just burst into the tavern, put their foot down, and you know, like, there's the awkward standoff of, like, oh man, I don't want to mess with that thing. That's how all of them are posed, really, right? Which is fine. They got a pretty big gun, so I guess I wouldn't want to mess with them either if I was just a dude. If I was a tank, I might consider it. And then the Voltrex, you know, they've got that same issue, but because it's the Mechandrites, it's those tentacle-y things, right? It's not as noticeable because the bulk of the model is the body, and you don't really alter the body of, you know, it's like a tank or a jet or something, right? You're not going to put too much different, there's not going to be much different between one or the other, you know? All they could really do to make it different is, like, have slightly different panels or something, and, you know, they crank these out of a forge. It's all standard template, so that wouldn't really exist anyway. So yeah, that's my thoughts on the models. Lots of tiny bits. The Voltrix, those guns, the little those ammo belts go into the backpack. You know, that's all one piece, and those are tiny. The box that Crayola got me, 5 of them are snapped. It's terrible. It's awful. It's going to be a nightmare for me to putting together and then painting and knowing that that's there. I'm going to be so careful and cautious as I'm going through it, but I'm sure it'll all work out, right? So let's talk tactics. You can use these things in any army. I think I've said that before. If you didn't know that, I need you to understand, they have, you go to Games Workshop, you go to the Warhammer community page, and you find the, you know what, I'll link it here. But you find the support formations. I'm pretty sure I've talked about this before. Each faction has a support formation. The Knight households have 2 support formations, and they give you access to these detachments of these guys. There's a couple of different restrictions and things that happen with it. It's different than you're not taking them as an allied detachment. So it's not eating into your ally. If you want to have, let's say you want to have knights, and you want to have Mechanicum in there too, well, you're limited to 900 points of, in a 3,000 point game, you're limited to like 900 points of allied Mechanicum, right? For every formation of knights, you can take a formation of support, a Mechanicum support formation, and so you can actually end up having closer to, say, you know, half and half of your army they'll play a little bit differently than, the support formations play a little bit differently than the Mechanicum formation. For one thing, all of them will be, they have something different with them where the Cortex controller, these guys require a controller. Each of them only has 2 orders that they can do on their own, and they need to be within range of a Cortex controller to allow them to have access to all of the orders. Similar to Solar Auxiliary, where they need to be where all of their chain of command models need to be in range of a commander so that they can get anything other than charge and advance. If they want first fire or march, they have to be within range of commander. The difference is for these guys, sometimes it's charge and march, or sometimes it's first fire and advance. Sometimes they all have different ones. That's for all the automata. Same thing for the Thanatars. And Thanatars are also one of the things that you might be using in your support formations. But these guys, most of your support formations are looking at these guys, at adding these to your army. All of them are roughly individual points before you start adding any discounts. You're looking at 40 points or 35. The Vorax and the Arlatax, which I'm going to say are they're the more capable ones in close combat. They are 40 points apiece. So interesting. I don't know if that's why or if that's just coincidence. The Castellax, Domitir, and Voltrix are all 35 points. And I would say, as far as like where you want these guys to be, the Voltrix do not want to be in close combat. They've got a CAF 2, which is better than anything with a lower CAF, but they have 2 shots with neutron flux and 2 light AT shots, right? So they can put damage into pretty much anything. They can put damage into tanks. Light AT is not ideal for it, but sometimes it's the best you have. And pretty much all of these guys' guns are light AT, and then there's a couple of things that just aren't, that are just light, or there's a couple of, and then there's a missile launcher, which of course can shoot just straight up hurt tanks. So the Voltrex, it's short range stuff, but you don't want to intentionally be using them in close combat. You want to be shooting with them. The Vorax, and that's probably true for all of them. Because of how expensive they are, you definitely don't want to charge into infantry with them, because 40 points for an Arlatax is more points. For the same amount of points, you're getting way more bodies with something of the other factions of infantry. 40 points into a 37-point Layman Russ that you are nearly guaranteed to kill. Sure, that's a good trade. You're just gobbling up those points and clearing them off the board. Especially considering 3 light AT shots are probably not going to, you've got one of those shots will actually hit, and then you have no AP against a tank with a 2-up armor save. So you would ideally, I guess, need 6 Arlatax in order to kill a single tank, or you could charge them and kill all 6 of them, right? The Castellax, they've got a slightly lower CAF. It's only 4. They've got 1 light shot that's not hurting tanks at all, and then they got 3 light AT shots. So all of these guys have 2 wounds. You're probably using the Castellax into shooting them into infantry more likely, or some of the lighter tanks. Some of the light things that aren't as heavily armored as a Layman Russ, right? Nothing with that 2-up save. Domitiers have a missile launcher, so you can shoot that into anything. Clear out a building or take care of some tanks. But again, because of how expensive they are, you're really paying for that durability. So they're harder to use, which is why I intend to do that practice match with them, because they are trickier to get the most out of. They're going to be difficult. I feel bad that I've put this upon Crayola, that she's going to have to play with I'm going to call it a handicap, a skill. They require more skill. Wave upon wave of Solar Auxiliary Body is less skill to win than these guys, than than other things, right? And I'm gonna say that these guys require more skill to pilot properly. If I'm wrong, call me out on it. Let me know how you're doing with these guys if you've played games. I haven't played with them yet because I only just finished making them, right? So if you've played with them and you got any advice or tips for me, let me know. I'll pass them on to Crayola. I'm not going to be a sore sport. She's beaten me in every game we've played so far, but I'm not upset. I'm not hurt. Yeah, Vorax, again, 3 of their shots are light and rapid fire, which is nice for shooting into some people charging you. They've got that rend on them, only CAF 3. And then the 2 shots are light ATs, so that's nice. You know, it's no point defense, though, so, you know, you're only going to be hitting on 6s. But I think we get a good idea of how you want to be used. I think, you know, for the most part, you've got shots to hurt tanks. You've got a lot of shots that you can use to hurt tanks, but it's not, you're going to need to drown them in fire if you want to do that, or you can charge them. All of these guys have, you know, fairly nice CAF, fairly okay at shooting, at getting into close combat, except for, again, the Voltrex. I don't think it's worth it there. And they have 2 wounds, so if you do lose that roll, you know, if you charge into 3 people, you charge into a unit of 3, and you end up, or if a unit of 3 charges you, and you end up needing to fight all 3 of them, you'll beat one in the roll. You'll lose to the second one, and it won't be until the third one. You might lose to the second one because they have an extra dice. You know, the Arl attacks might not because it's got a sturdier number, right? So it all depends on who you get and if they roll high. But if you lose against that second one, you're not going to die until the third one goes off. So if you can win 2 fights, or if you can gun them down before they get to you, that's what you need to do. But that's really all the time I'm going to have to talk about these guys today, and I think I covered everything I need to. You know, we're going to play a game with them, and then we'll have better experience on how they work. And then, and maybe that'll be up before the end of this month. End of the month's coming up quick, though. So maybe that'll be a February thing. And then soon I will be back to playing campaigns against Crayola. That she'll have an army that I will be able to locate and close with and destroy. Or it'll be a repeat of the last 2 games and she'll beat me again, and the campaign will continue to be a downward spiral for the forces of the Emperor. Hopefully, let's not go that direction, but I'm just happy to be playing the games, right? So that's all the time we have for today. This has once again been Eagle Spire Gaming. I've been Crown. Thanks for flying by.